This is just a sample of the audiobook. To get the complete audiobook, access the link posted in the first comment.
It was a crisp New England autumn morning as the Democratic Victory Special steamed eastward into Massachusetts from upstate New York. On October 24, 1928, the temperature in Boston had dropped from an unseasonable 75 degrees the previous afternoon into the mid-50s. By 3:30 p.m., when the locomotive arrived at South Station, the city had settled into one of Boston's cloudy fall days, considerably cooler than yesterday. The anticipatory autumnal chill resulting from this atmospheric dynamism presaged with a sort of meteorological poetry the wave of energy and upheaval that would sweep from the Berkshires down to Massachusetts Bay in the wake of the Albany-born train. On board was the Democratic nominee for the presidency, the governor of New York, noted progressive crusader, champion of the urban working class, unashamed Catholic, and proponent of pluralist tolerance and liberal economic reform, Alfred E. Smith. The train slowed first at Pittsfield in the west, greeted by 10,000 supporters, then goodly numbers cheered at Westfield, followed by about 30,000 at Springfield, where a band hailed the visitor with his familiar theme, The Sidewalks of New York. There, Massachusetts Senator David Ignatius Walsh, an Irish Catholic Democrat from Fitchburg and a noted friend of labor, extended greetings on behalf of the New Yorker, who, on instructions of his physician, was saving his voice for the evening. Onward to Worcester, where another crowd of 30,000 filled Washington Square before that city's station, and, less concerned over its own vocal endurance, yelled itself hoarse. Platforms at Framingham, Natick, and Newton, all jammed with cheering, flag-waving crowds. Finally, Boston. On Boston Common, Smith was greeted by 150,000. At Boston Arena, only 15,000 were able to enter out of the 50,000 who sought admittance, while avid mobs numbering in the hundreds of thousands radiated outward for blocks, enthralled by reports of events within proclaimed by an army of radios. All this as two other capacious auditoriums, Mechanics Hall and Symphony Hall, remained packed to the brim with ardent listeners after the nominee's brief greetings to those delirious overflow meetings. A reporter from New York found the passion of the people appalling in its intensity, more like what might be seen at a monster religious revival than at a political gathering. All told, police estimated that 750,000 people flooded the streets of Boston to greet the governor of New York, a gathering 2,000 greater than the city's population at the time of the 1920 census. Why had they come? What did they hear? How did they respond? In microcosm, these are the essential questions of this work, and the answers promise to enhance our understanding of American political development in the interwar period. Smith's national prominence as gubernatorial champion of social welfare and of the laboring masses, and his ambition to implement and expand that particular progressivism at the federal level, blended with his biographical appeal to a growing cohort of newer voters, as a representative of the urban ethnic working classes, inspired these boisterous receptions in many of the nation's heterogeneous industrial cities, most especially but not exclusively in New England. In each case, these crowds not only obliterated local attendance records, but also received detailed explications of the Democrat's progressive vision for the United States, affirming his well-earned reputation for getting at the heart of things, and popularizing very abstruse questions so that the average fellow could understand them, and fulfilling his pledge to maintain direct contact with the people in this campaign. The response produced the revolutionary early stages of a national political reshuffling that would help spur the onset of modern American liberalism.